I'm a research coach, and part of what I do is to help people to realize their research dreams and also achieve possible research goals. My duty most of the times is to help them think using superior mindsets, especially out of the box. The future of life is about research and technology. Every other thing will rather be working around these two key possible innovations and careers. As interesting as research is, especially helping you to solve problems, helping you to ask questions and also look for solutions, and also find the reasons why things are working or why they are not working. Research is interesting again because it gives you an opportunity to go deeper into history, to look at factors that support things that are going on in our world, and also giving us an opportunity to know or to discover new things in terms of carrying out hypothesis driven experiments, in terms of developing new things, and possibly innovation and discovery. For you to become a good researcher, beyond learning how to compose yourself, how to think through, how you can design experiments that will answer a specific question, how you can work with others, and also know how to source for resources. There are other two skills that are very pertinent to research that will make you to become an excellent researcher, that nothing will be able to limit you. The first is ability to speak very well. You might not like talking or speaking. You might be an introvert, but you need to understand that research is about telling people what you have done. People won't have time to come and stay with you in the lab to look at different experiments you are carrying out. They won't have time to come and stay with you in your den or wherever you are putting your experiments together or whatsoever you are doing in the process of research and discovery. Then it's important for you to learn how to take the message to them, having in mind that research is for people. People are always at the receiving end in terms of maybe their health or in terms of something that is going to make their life easier in terms of technology or digital revolution or improvement. So as much as you are the one carrying out the research, it is for people. And people need to understand what you have done, why you did it, and what it's going to do for them. And that is why ability to speak is very important. You have to prepare a proposal in terms of presentation. You have to talk to a group for them to give you probably a grant to carry out your research. You might have to discuss with someone in form of collaboration for you to have access to resources that are not within the scope of probably your organization or the kind of research that you are interested in your locality. You might have to reach out to people that have an expertise in one area or the other. And this involves you to know how to communicate. It is very, very important. So talking is like an oxygen for a researcher. And it's important for you to know that if you are going to enroll in a master's degree program or a postgraduate program, maybe PhD, or even you finish PhD and you are taking a step further as a postdoctoral fellow, they will ask you to defend a proposal. They will ask you to defend your thesis before you can be certified or before they can ascertain that you know what you have done and now you are qualified for a degree. And that is why learning how to speak is very important. And you don't need to know how to do it, should I say, initially. But with time, if you are ready to learn, you can learn how to speak. I'm not just saying, just say anything or just talking anyhow. I'm saying within the context of research, your research scope, your research objectives, and your interest, you must be able to deliver an excellent presentation that we help people to value the time you have invested into the kind of experiments you have done or your research. The second skill, which is very important likewise, is ability to write. If you don't know how to write, you can't do well as a researcher. And don't let anyone deceive you that writing is more important for your research career. I beg to disagree, because everything around research is about writing. You have to think actually, then you have to put your thoughts on papers, because people will not know what you are thinking probably until you say it, or sometimes until you write about it. So it's important for you to learn how to write. Most people do not know how to write. With my interactions with postgraduate students, it is hard. And you can't blame them, because no one has been able to show them how to write. Sometimes they expect that you should know how to write a proposal without you being taught. They expect that you should know how to maybe write even your SOPs, or how to put together ideas or develop ideas that could help you to get a fellowship or a grant for your research. They expect that you should know how to write a report. They expect that you should know how to write your thesis. You've worked in the lab for 3 years, or for 4 years, or 5 years as a PhD student, depending on the structure of your program. They expect that you must be able to write a very good thesis that can qualify you for the degree. And it must be convincing. It must be very, very convincing. And people must be able to tell that you have done a good job. No one will value the amount of time you have invested into your research or PhD program or master's degree program without you writing a very good thesis. It will be hard for people to say you're an excellent researcher if you can't write a good report. Maybe they want you to provide a page of your research interest, a concept note, and an executive summary, or a technical note all around your research. And you have to know how to do this, and you don't have any excuse. So what I want to do is to guide you through writing. How do you start learning how to write like a pro? Is it really difficult? And if it is difficult, how can we demystify it in a simpler format for you that is going to trigger your interest and also help you in the process of achieving your research career dreams? I think the first important thing you need to know, which is very, very key, is what are your excuses? Because when you ask people, when are you going to turn in the assignments, they will tell you, give me more time, because they don't know how to go about it. And they will say, I can't meet up with the deadline. I need to go on extension. Maybe I'm going to submit my thesis in the next window, submission window. I can't really meet up with publishing that article because I've done an excellent research. I've conducted good experiments, but I can't put them into writing. I can't do it. I'm even applying for a conference, and they demanded that I submit an abstract. I don't know how to do it. It is really difficult. Kind of. So the first thing I want to deal with in this edition is why don't people write? Why don't people write? I think the first reason is because of lack of knowledge. Because if you don't know, it'll be difficult for you to write. So people do not have the knowledge about academic writing. And even sometimes people feel that academic writing is the same with other forms of writing. And it is not true. You need to know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it's very difficult for you. And that will be a big challenge for you because you wouldn't want to appear like you don't know what you are about as a researcher or as a person. So lack of knowledge is a big problem. And the other thing is that sometimes people may have the knowledge, but they don't have the right organization in terms of thinking. They know what they want to write, but they cannot organize it. And that is why they tell you that a good writer, academic writer now, is someone that is well organized. If you can't really arrange your thoughts well, it will be very, very difficult for you to write an excellent paper or provide a concept idea in form of writing that is going to appeal to the generosity of your funders. So knowledge is very important, but again, people give an excuse of they are not organized. There is a specific level of organization you need as a writer, an academic writer. It is not it is not common, kind of like it is not similar when you start talking about other forms of writing. You must be well organized. The other challenge with this is that people think that academic writing wastes time. It doesn't waste time. What I would say is that it takes time for you to write well. There are two different things because there is a bigger picture. You want to learn how to write. You want to learn how to speak. And you want to write something good enough that will make people to value your work. So you don't think about wasting time. Irrespective of the amount of time invested, what you are doing is that you are getting better at doing it, or you are getting better at learning how to do it. So academic writing does not waste time. It only takes time. And you need to invest a good time for you to learn. And that is why I initially said you need a kind of organization in the process of writing. And that also takes time for you to have an idea, for you to be able to sit down and develop an idea. I have a video that talks about how you can develop your idea and also how that idea can be marketed. You can look at the series of videos that I've uploaded and you can have access to that. So it takes time for you to learn how to develop your idea and also present the idea in an acceptable format that will make people to love your work and what you are doing. Again, people make an excuse that academic writing is difficult. It is not difficult. Or if I may say it properly, anything worthwhile or worth doing should be done well. And life on its own is not easy. There is no free food anywhere in the world. You have to learn to do it. And in doing it, it's not going to be easy. That is why you must be dogged, and at the same time, you must be very, very resilient in the process of learning how to write. So it is not a difficult exercise. It only takes your ability to know what you want to write about and sitting up to know how to go about it. So if you feel that it's just going to come like that, you might be disappointed. So it's not difficult. It is not impossible, but the only thing is that it might not be that easy because it takes a lot from you, especially if in your formative years you are not exposed to writing. Majority of us were not exposed to writing growing up. Maybe when we were growing up in our basic schools, we don't have that opportunity to write. Some had that privilege. They will ask them to write composition, how you spent your last holiday, and write a letter to your uncle asking for permission to spend your next holiday with your best friend. Okay, write a letter about your best food, or write an article on how youth can help the government build a great nation. Some had that privilege. Some of us probably we did not. And that is not an excuse for you not to write. And you shouldn't use that as a means to define academic writing as something difficult. Then again, people say that I don't like writing because I'm not gifted. You don't have to be a gifted writer to write. You don't have to be gifted to write. If you have a gift of writing, that's a plus. That's an advantage. But even no matter how gifted you are, gifts are crude. You have to refine those gifts. And every one of us, we have an element of possibilities within us. That the impossible is the untried. We have what it takes to do anything if we give ourselves time and we hone that particular skill, especially when there is a need for it in the process of self-development or when you are trying to narrow down your career. So you need to understand that it is not about talent. It is not about gifting or gifts. It is more about interest and strategy. I've worked with students who are not gifted writers. It's even difficult for them to write an email, a good, meaningful email to a professor or to their colleague or even to you as a supervisor. You have to find out, as in you have to, it is really hard to get to get to understand what their email is about. I beg your pardon. But in the process of their master's degree program, they learn how to write. And most of them, they have become excellent writers. So it's not about the gifts, although it's important if you have the gift of writing. But if you don't, it doesn't make you lesser than others who have the gifts. It doesn't make you a second-class citizen or a second-class writer. What you need to do is open up and give yourself the benefit of the doubt that you can learn how to do it because you are interested rather, and it works like that. Again, people say, I don't like writing. Most of us don't like writing. For example, I'm a writer. I'm a gifted writer, actually. But I also understand that being a gifted writer sometimes can be a disadvantage because it can make you lazy. Because you feel that you have the gift, it flows naturally. You can just do it. And at the same time, it can limit you from extending your boundary or enlarging your coast or looking out for other things that can help you in the process of writing. So naturally, most people don't like writing. And if I may tell you, you don't have to like writing to write. Don't make that mistake. There are things that you do, and you do them very well now, not because you like doing those things, but situation warrants that you have to do those things. Duty calls that you have to do those things, and you don't have any choice. You learn those things, and now you have that expertise, and you have become like an expert in that particular area. So you have to eat to survive. You don't have to like eating, but you need food for survival. You need proteins to develop your body, for your wound to heal very fast. So you don't have to like eating at all. You need energy for life. So it is the same thing with academic writing. You don't have to like academic writing, but you have to write to survive as a researcher. You have to learn how to write for you to have opportunities. You can't get any admission without writing statement of purpose. You can't get any opportunity without providing a proposal, without developing an idea. So you need those things as long as you have decided to be a researcher. So it is not about you liking it. It's a point of duty, a point of purpose, because it goes a long way in helping you to develop an excellent career. Writing sometimes, like people say, in form of an excuse now that is for smart people. It is not true. Writing is not for smart people. And if I may say to you, there is no career that is for smart people. As long as you are willing, you can. When there is a will, there will be a way. Willingness is very, very important. And I've seen people that what brought them to a point of smartness and limelight is willingness, not because they are smart. Writing is not for smart people. Writing is for those who are interested, who need it for life, who need it for survival, who need it to fulfill purpose, and also to develop a great career. Trust is another problem. People find it to trust what they write. And from my experience, if you don't trust yourself, it'll be difficult for you to do well as an academic writer, because you won't be able to turn in your writing or your paper. You won't be able to show anyone because you don't trust yourself at all. I've, in the past, written interesting, for lack of a better word now, stuff. Very good, but because I felt that maybe it's not probably the best, then it's either I put it in the dustbin, and most of them have gone into the dustbin of history now. And looking back, you realize that it wasn't because you were not smart, it wasn't because it was not the best, but probably it was because I didn't trust myself. And that is the similar thing that happened to most students. It's difficult for them to trust themselves. I've worked with students before that when I give them writing exercise, maybe we are trying to put together a paper for publication, and we have a specific criteria or a format within the scope of the journal. So what I would do is that probably I've given them an exercise. Do this and let me have it by this specific date. You'll discover that some of them will do it and they'll come and show you. Some, it will take them time. They are finished, but they won't send it to you because they couldn't trust themselves. And that is where the problem is. You must be able to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You must be able to trust yourself in the process of writing. And it's important for all of us to know that even beyond writing, whatsoever we have to do in terms of our career, trust is key. Because if you don't trust yourself, people will not trust you. If you don't trust what you have written, how do I trust it? So you need to really have that understanding that trusting yourself is key, and it doesn't have to be good. So people say that I'm not good enough. That is why I can't trust myself. You don't have to be good enough. That is one part. But the point is that you are good enough, but it's just that you are not seeing it. And for you to really start getting to know how good you are, you need to start trusting yourself, and you need to start writing. Because if you don't write, you won't get to a point that you see how good it is that you can write. People tell you that they are not ready. And the point is that academic writing is not about readiness. Sometimes you ask people, when are you submitting your first chapter? When are you sending your third chapter to me? They will tell you, I'll send it when I'm ready. I'll send it because it's not ready. When are you going to submit your thesis? I'm not ready. When will you be ready? You don't have to wait for a perfect condition for you to write. Sometimes they tell you, I'm still reading, I'm still trying to read, I'm trying to organize my thoughts. You have to write. If you don't write, you can't be ready. You only become ready when you start writing. And that is very, very important for you to know. And don't let people deceive you. Because sometimes I've heard people, I don't write because no one will read it. People will read it. I will read it. Your boss will read it. Your friends will read it. Your accountability partner will read it. People will read it. Don't let that stop you. As long as you are enrolled in a master's degree program, people will read your thesis. There is no way they will not read it. And you need to understand that. And I also need to send a note of warning to supervisors, bosses, those people leading organization, and they are in charge of students or people that are meant to write. Discouragement is a big problem. And most people don't write because of discouragement. Sometimes your boss says you should write something, and when you send it to your boss, the boss look at it, not with a positive lenses, but look out for every negative things about what you have written. I've heard people say this is crap, this is useless, this is bad. You are foolish. You don't know how to write. This is, and you say you are doing PhD. Don't say such things. What you should think about is how you started, and use that as a means to guide people. We can all write, and we all have the potential to do well. Don't let anyone keep you off writing, no matter how discouraged that it might be. Let's try to encourage people, because they did not have the same opportunity we had growing up, probably in terms of writing or in terms of education and learning. So people are going through a lot, especially students, and we shouldn't have the burden of discouragement in terms of writing to what they are going through. Let's help them. Sometimes they tell you they are not patient enough. They might not have the patience of a writer, but they can have the patience of a reviewer. Or you can exhibit the patience of a reviewer, helping them to be in the mood of writing and guide them. So it's important for you to know that writing is important, and it's a skill that you have to acquire. You need it for everything you have to do, and you can't do well without learning how to write. It's important for everybody